So I'm going to share the entire screen. Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please respond. Okay. So once again, good afternoon to all of you. Today we are going to see about the blood platelets. Okay. So in the last few classes, we have studied about the cells of the blood. So what are the cells of the blood? The blood cells are of three types. They are RBC, or it is called as erythrocytes, WBC or leukocytes, and the third one is blood platelets. Okay. So blood platelets are otherwise called as thrombocytes. Blood platelets are otherwise called as thrombocytes. See, late entry. See, students, please join the class. See, I have started the class only after 13 minutes. Please don't come late. Niveda, hereafter don't come late. So today's class we are going to see about platelets, blood platelets or thrombocytes. So what are they? When compared to the RBC and the WBC, the blood platelets are very small in size. Okay, you see, you call it as formed elements of the blood. Okay, they are formed elements, that is being formed from other bigger elements. Okay, they are the fragments of the bigger elements. So that is why they are called as formed elements of the blood. You all know that RBC, WBC, and blood platelets are formed by a process called as hemopoiesis. Am I audible? Okay. So when you take the platelets, they are smaller in size, they are colorless, and also they are non-nucleated. Okay, just like the RBC, they are non-nucleated. So when you compare with the RBC and the WBC, platelets are smaller in size, and only the RBCs are colored because of the presence of hemoglobin, whereas the WBC and the platelets are colorless, and they are non-nucleated. Only the WBC cells are nucleated, whereas the RBC and the blood platelets are non-nucleated, and they are small bodies, small refractive bodies, very small in size when you compare it with the other cells. Okay, so they are why they are called as elements formed elements of the blood, because they are the fragments of the cytoplasm. Okay, they are the fragments of the cytoplasm. Now let us see the size of the platelets. See, when you take the size, you can see the diameter is only 2.5 microns approximately, that is from 2 to 4 microns, ranges from 2 to 4 microns. See, it is very small when you compare it with the RBC and the WBC. The volume is approximately 7.5 cubic microns. So it ranges from 7 to 8 cubic microns in volume. Now, when you take the shape of the platelets, platelets are of several shapes. Okay, they are actually in two forms. What are the two forms? That is the activated form and the inactivated form. So they have several shapes. You cannot define the shape of a platelet. Okay, platelets can be spherical in shape, or they can be rod shaped, oval in shape, or disc shaped. So I told you they are in two forms, activated form and the inactivated form. So during the inactivated form, they attain these kind of shapes: spherical, rod shaped, oval, disc shaped, or even they take the shape of a dumbbell, comma shape, a cigar shape, or any kind of shape. Okay, you cannot give a proper shape to the platelets. Okay, when they are activated, they have some spike like things all over the body. Okay, now we will see the structure and composition of the platelet. So you see the picture on the right hand side. Okay, there is a picture on the right hand side. This picture shows the structure of the blood platelet. So it constitute of an outer cell membrane. Okay, you know the cell membrane or the plasma membrane, or it is called as the surface membrane. So the outermost covering of the cell blood platelet is called as the cell membrane, and it has the cytoplasm and the inner content inside. Okay, inside the cell membrane you have microtubules. So you, in the next picture, you can see how the microtubules form the innermost part of the whole entire cell, okay, inside the cell membrane. And apart from that, you have many organelles in the cytoplasm. You can see there are granules. Two types of granules are present. One is the alpha granule and the other one is the dense granule. So two types of granules are there. These are very, very important in the function. So the function of the blood platelets is mainly in the blood clotting mechanism. So apart from the granules, both the alpha and the dense granules, it has got mitochondria. You can see mitochondria are present, and these are the microtubules, and the glycogen is present. Glycogen is present in the cytoplasm. Phospholipids are also present in the cell membrane, and you can see an opening. Okay, an invagination inside the cell. It is called as a tubular like connection. It is called as the open canalicular system. Okay, this is the system where it will throw the granular contents outside the cell through this opening. Okay, this is an open canalicular system. In the next picture, you can see very clearly the structure of the, this is the diagram showing the structure of the platelet. Okay, so you can see the blue color outer surface, that is called as the coat or the cell membrane. The inside you can see the red color or the pink colored one. Okay, this is called as the microtubules. Okay, this is the microtubule. So the microtubule form a dense inner covering of the cell membrane, okay, which limits the cytoplasm. So inside the cytoplasm you can see many organelles like mitochondria, alpha granules, dense granules, okay, and glycogen, okay, and many other proteins and other carbohydrates are also present. See here you can see many canaliculi, open tubular system called as the canaliculi. See here in this picture you can see three canaliculi which are inside invaginations, okay, protruding inside, through which the granules can be sent out or thrown out for whenever it is required. This picture you can see, this is the picture showing the image from a light microscope. When the blood smear, that is the peripheral blood smear, is stained with the Giemsa stain. Okay, so Giemsa stained peripheral blood smear, when it is seen under a light microscope, that is 500x. See, you can see many small blue dots. Okay, many small blue dots here. These are the blood platelets. Okay, and the pink colored ones, here there are so many pink colored ones. Pink, the RBC cells are huge in number, so these are the RBC cells. So in this picture you can see the RBC as well as the blood platelets. The WBC is not seen in this picture. Okay, so this is how it looks like under a microscope. Okay, now how are the platelets formed? So all the blood cells are formed from the stem cells, totipotent marrow stem cells. So this you all know very well. All the cells, whether it is RBC or WBC or blood platelets, are formed by a process called as hemopoiesis. Okay, so just like the other cells, the platelets are also formed from the stem cells. Okay, hemopoietic stem cells. So they will undergo some changes and definite structures called as the committed cells. Okay, they form the progenitor cells. So this gets converted to the promegakaryocyte, which is a progenitor of the platelet. Okay, the promegakaryocyte gets converted into megakaryocyte, and then they get disintegrated into platelets. So that is why they are called as the formed elements. So from the progenitor, promegakaryocytes are formed. From the promegakaryocytes, megakaryocytes are formed, and they disintegrate to form the platelets. Okay, so just similarly, you can see the erythrocytes are formed from proerythrocyte cells, and the lymphocytes are formed from pro-lymphocyte cells, lymphoblast, and here the WBC cells are formed from myeloblast, which forms the eosinophil and the basophil and the neutrophil, and also the monoblast, which is getting converted to monocyte. So this is the picture showing the how the platelets are formed from the megakaryocyte. Okay, so for the formation of the blood platelets, you need a factor called as the thrombopoietin. So you know thrombopoietin is a very very important factor in erythropoiesis. So just like erythropoiesis, during the formation of platelets, okay, for the conversion or for the stimulation of the conversion of myeloid stem cell to megakaryoblast, you need a factor called as the thrombopoietin. So you all know very well that thrombopoietin is secreted by the kidneys, mainly by the kidneys and also by the liver. So whenever there is a decrease in the blood platelets, these thrombopoietin will be secreted by the kidneys and it will stimulate the myeloid stem cells to get converted into megakaryoblast. Once the megakaryoblast are formed, they further get converted. See, you can see how they are activated. They are the megakaryocytes. Get converted into megakaryocytes. These are the platelet precursor extensions. See how they get disintegrated and they form the platelets. So the platelets are of two types, activated form and the inactivated form. So in this picture you can see very well beautiful pictures. Okay, this is the picture on the left hand side shows the 3D picture. Okay, and you can see the inactivated forms. 4 pictures are given for the inactivated forms and 3 pictures of the activated platelets. See the difference between these two. So the platelets need not be active all the time. So the platelets are very very important for what kind of function? Clotting, blood clotting. Okay, that is the blood coagulation. This is the function performed by the platelets. So the blood clotting is necessary only when there is a wound or injury. It should not be always active. Otherwise, what will happen? It will coagulate the other cells of the blood inside the blood vessels and form many clots. Okay, for that you have anticoagulants. Okay, you have anticoagulants, and this will prevent the coagulation of the blood clotting when the inside the blood vessel. So the platelets should be rendered active only whenever it is necessary, whenever there is a wound in the tissue, okay, wound in the collagen or collagen exposure, only then the platelets should be activated. That is why they possess two different forms, that is the inactive form and the active form. See in this picture on the right hand side you can see the picture of the all the three blood cells. See, this is the scanning electromicrograph of the blood cell. Okay, this is the human erythrocyte, pink colored one, and in the center you can see the blood platelet, activated blood platelet, and this the blue colored one is the leukocyte. Okay, so this is the scanning electromicrograph picture. Okay, so for more this one video you can see the, for example I'll show you some video. I hope you're able to see the video. This is a very small video. I hope you are able to see the video. See, whenever there is a damage in the skin or in the tissues, okay, the damage is repaired by the platelets. Okay, so a cut in the thing, a leakage in such a closed system would lead to loss of blood. So when there is a cut, what will happen? There will be loss of blood. Okay, so what will happen if the blood, loss of blood or the cut is not healed? There will be plenty of loss of blood to the outside. So in order to prevent that, whenever we fall or whenever there is a wound, okay, the blood loss from that wound, site of wound, should be prevented by blood clotting mechanism. Okay, so in addition, leakage would also lead to loss of pressure. When the blood is lost through the wound, what will happen? It will result in the instability of the person and it will lead to loss of pressure. Okay, and the pumping system also will get affected. So this is a tissue injury. You can see the blood vessel where all the blood cells are flowing. RBC, WBC, and let's see white blood cells and the platelets. So the blood platelets circulate throughout the body in the blood vessels, and the main function is the blood clotting. And apart from that, you have many clotting factors present in the plasma. See how it is formed. The blood platelets. So when a blood vessel breaks because of some injury, the platelets will gather at that area and they will form platelet aggregation, and they will plug that site, okay, and stop bleeding. Okay, however, if the wound is large, not this is not required. So we will be studying in detail how the blood clotting or coagulation of blood takes place. So only the platelet is not enough. There are so many other factors. About 13 factors are involved. They are called as the blood clotting factors. So they will also be involved in the blood clotting mechanism. So not only the blood platelets, it will stimulate the accumulation of all the other factors, so that is they will be recruited at the site of injury for that particular blood clotting action. So what will happen? The platelets will release chemicals. So that is what is the during the blood clotting mechanism, it will release a lot of chemicals that cause the clotting factor to form the fibrin fibers. So fibrin fibers are formed across the wound. So see how the fibrin fibers stick together to form a clump and seal the wound completely. So the loss of blood is prevented. So this is the, you can see another video. Are you able to see the video? Students, are you able to see the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See what happens, that man falls and he has an injury. So when we have tissue injury on the skin, what will happen? There will be a damage to the blood vessel also. That is why blood leaks from the site of injury. So see how they come and collect and form and aggregate. Are you able to listen to the YouTube sound? No? Voice is not audible. Okay, fine. Okay, just listen to the picture. Okay, I can translate. See, this is the role of the platelets. So when a blood vessel is damaged, you can see what happens. Collagen is exposed. Okay, when there is a damage in the blood vessel, collagen is exposed. So when the collagen is exposed, this will cause the platelet to come and accumulate. This will attract the platelets to the site of injury, so that the platelets will come and accumulate at the site of injury, okay, and seal the exposure. So not only the platelets, you can see the RBC cells and the WBC cells also come along with the platelets. But the main role is done by the platelets. So this will prevent the loss of blood from the site of injury. So the only the platelet forming the blood clot is it is not enough. Okay, so it has to form a fibrin clot. So this fibrin clot is a very stable one. So that is it. So it will invite many other factors, and so the blood clotting mechanism can be initiated. So fibrinogen will be converted to fibrin network. So they form a sticky fibrin fibers. So this will prevent the that is the flow of the blood through the particular site of injury. So when there is injury, what will happen? Pathogens and so many other chemicals will try to enter through the site of injury. So by blood is forming the blood clot. Okay, platelet aggregation, platelet is at this there are three processes. Okay, platelet adhesion, platelet aggregation, and blood clotting, formation of the fibrin. So this will prevent. Okay. Now what you have seen, you can see more videos like this. Okay. So now you have understood what is the role of blood platelets. Okay. Now we will see the structure. So we have to study in detail what is the structure and composition of the blood platelets. Are you there with me? Please louder, please. Okay. Now, as I told you, blood platelet is constituted or made up of cell membrane or the surface membrane and inner microtubule. Okay, we have seen in the previous picture about the microtubules forming the complete inner layer beneath the cell membrane, and inner cytoplasm which contains alpha granules, dense granules, glycogen, mitochondria, and an open canalicular system. So this is what we are going to see in detail. So what is the thickness of the cell membrane? First one is the cell membrane. So the cell membrane is 6 nanometer thick. So we have seen there is an invagination. Okay, this invagination is there are many invaginations on the cell membrane. Okay, it forms a tubular system. So this tubular system is called as the canalicular system. So through this canalicular system, it forms a tunnel-like structure. Okay, through which the granules, that is the alpha granules and the dense granules, will be thrown outside the cell. So that is the role of the canalicular system. So what is the role of the canalicular system? It forms a delicate tunnel-like system through which the granules from the cytoplasm will be thrown out, extruded out of the cell. Now, what is the composition of the cell membrane? So, just like the other cell membrane or the plasma membrane, the cell membrane of the platelet is also made up of lipids. So, what is the lipid that is present on the cell membrane? It is called as the phospholipids. So, mainly it is made up of phospholipids, but not only phospholipid, it also contains cholesterol, glycolipids, and some other carbohydrates like the glycocalyx and the glycoproteins and proteins. So glycocalyx and glycoproteins are complex carbohydrates. So what are the contents of the cell membrane? It contains phospholipids, cholesterol, glycolipids, carbohydrates like glycocalyx and glycoproteins and proteins. So out of all these, the glycoproteins and phospholipids are very very important for blood clotting mechanism, so which you will be seeing when you study about the blood clotting mechanism. Okay, so what is the role of glycoproteins? So why it is very important in the for the platelets in the blood clotting mechanism? So the glycoproteins prevent the adherence of platelets to normal endothelium. So we have seen in the YouTube that blood platelets go and stick to the site of injury. Okay, so that is when the endothelium is exposed. So the endothelium of the blood vessel gets exposed when only when there is an injury. Okay, so the blood clotting mechanism is needed only when there is an injury. It should not be, it should not go and form a clot when there is no injury. So during normal condition, there should not be blood clot. So if there is a blood clot, then it is a problem. For example, the thrombus, that is a blood clot in the blood vessel, will go and circulate through the blood vessel and gets deposited in the heart or the brain and form a clot or the block, so which will affect the normal functioning of the brain and the heart. So this should be prevented. So what is the role of glycoprotein? Glycoprotein prevent the attachment. Adherence means attachment of the platelets to the normal endothelium. They will enhance the attachment or the adherence of the platelets only when the endothelium is broken. Okay, but accelerate the adherence of platelets to collagen and damaged endothelium in ruptured blood vessels. Okay, when there is a damage in the tissue and the collagen is exposed. Okay, so when there is a damage, endothelium gets damaged. So only when there is a damage and the endothelium is exposed, in that condition only the blood clotting is important. So during that time, the glycoproteins will accelerate, will stimulate, or will speed up the attachment of the adherence of the platelet to the collagen. So that is the role of the glycoproteins. During normal condition, it will prevent the attachment of the platelets to the collagen. But during injury, it will accelerate the attachment of the platelets to the collagen. So glycoproteins are also form the receptor for adenosine diphosphate and thrombin. So these are important factors for the blood clotting. So they form receptor. They act as a receptor for ADP and thrombin. So this is the role of glycoprotein. So what is the role of glycoprotein? It will prevent the attachment of the platelets to normal undamaged endothelium. But at the same time, it will speed up the attachment or adherence of the platelets to the to collagen and damaged endothelium, and it facilitates the blood clotting mechanism. It also form receptors, act as receptors for the adenosine diphosphate and thrombin. Now, what is the role of phospholipids? So phospholipids, they are also very important factors. I have told there are about 13 factors. So phospholipid is one very important component, okay, of the blood clotting mechanism. They accelerate or speed up the clotting reaction. So without phospholipid, the clotting reaction cannot take place. So they also form precursor for the thromboxane A and other prostaglandin related substances. So you would have studied about thromboxane, prostaglandins, etc. So the phospholipids are the precursors from which the thromboxane and the prostaglandins are formed. Now what we will see, what is the role of microtubules. So the second layer from the cell membrane is the microtubule. So it forms a ring-like structure in the inner wall of the cytoplasm, around the cytoplasm. That is the cytoplasm. That is the below the cell membrane. What are microtubules? They are made up of tubulin. So tubulin gets polymerized. Okay, the polymerized protein, the tubulin gets polymerized to form the microtubules. So what is the role of tubulin or the microtubules? They give structural support for the inactivated platelets to maintain their disc-like shape. So when they are inactive, their structure has to be maintained. So they apart from the cell membrane, because they are present just beneath the cell membrane, they give a solid support, okay, for the platelets to maintain the structure or the shape. Next, the cytoplasm. So we will see what are the contents of the cytoplasm. So what are the organelles present in the cytoplasm? So the organelles present in the cytoplasm of the platelets are Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, microtubule, microvessels, filaments and granules. Just like the other cells, it also contains Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, microtubule, microvessels, filaments and granules. Not only this, this contains some chemical substances like proteins, enzymes and also hormones. So these are the contents of the cytoplasm. Now, what are the proteins that are present in the cytoplasm of blood platelets? So these are the proteins. So we will name it one by one. Contractile protein, von Willebrand factor, fibrin stabilizing factor, platelet derived growth factor, platelet activating factor, vitronectin, thrombospondin. So these are the proteins which are present inside the cytoplasm of the blood platelet. So what are these? What are contractile proteins? There are three kinds of contractile proteins. I think you would have heard about actin and myosin. Actin and myosin are very important contractile protein which are present in all the muscles. Okay, so they are very important for the contraction of the muscle fiber. Just like that, the actin and myosin are also present in the inside the blood platelets. So their main function is they are contractile protein and they are responsible for the contraction of the platelets. So the contraction of the platelets are very very important, during the clot retraction. So once the clot is formed, the job is not done. Okay, after that the clot has to be removed. If the clot is going to be present permanently at the site of injury, that will also get detached from the site and they can enter the bloodstream and cause damage or cause a block. So in order to prevent that, after the blood clotting is done, the clot has to be retracted and they have to be disintegrated and it has to be thrown out of the blood vessel. So for that, another protein apart from actin and myosin, thrombostenin is very very important. So this is the third contractile protein which is responsible for the retraction of the clot. Okay, retraction of the clot is the next phenomena after the blood clotting. Second protein is von Willebrand factor. So this von Willebrand factor is a very very important protein which will help the platelets to adhere at the site of injury to the collagen. Okay, so they are responsible for adherence of platelets and regulation of plasma level of factor 8. So I told you there are so many factors. So the regulation of factor 8 is done by the von Willebrand factor. So what is the role of von Willebrand factor? They are important for the adherence of the platelets to the collagen and also regulation of the factor 8 in the plasma. The third protein is a fibrin stabilizing factor. So the once the fibrinogen is converted to fibrin, okay, it forms a meshwork or a network. Okay, so this has to be stabilized. Okay, so this is a fibrin stabilizing factor. It is a clotting factor. Fourth one is PDGF. So what is PDGF? Platelet derived growth factor. So you would have heard about platelet derived growth factor. This is very very important during the wound healing. Okay, it is responsible for damage, that is the repair of the damaged blood vessel and also in wound healing. Okay, so the platelet derived growth factor, it is a potent mitogen. So what is a mitogen? The chemical which promotes the cell division, mitosis. It is a potent mitogen, that is it is a chemical that will promote the mitosis for smooth muscle fiber of the blood vessel. Mitogen for the blood vessels. Smooth, so blood vessel also contain muscle fibers. Okay, so these muscle fibers which are present in the blood vessel are very important for the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessel. Okay, that is the dilation and contraction of the blood vessel. So these platelet derived growth factors are helpful in the repair of the damaged blood vessel and also in the healing of the wound. The fifth one is the platelet activating factor, PAF. So the platelet activating factor, what does it do? It causes the accumulation or aggregation of platelets during the injury of blood vessels. Okay, so by causing the accumulation of the platelets at the site of injury, it will prevent the excessive loss of blood. So So the platelet activating factor is a very, very important factor in the blood clotting mechanism. So what does it do? It will cause the, it will invite the platelets, and that is, they have the affinity. Okay, they will show attraction of the platelets towards the site of injury, so that it will completely block the injury, site of injury, and prevent the blood loss. The sixth factor is called as the vitronectin. So vitronectin is the called as serum spreading factor. So what does it do? It will promote adhesion of platelets and spreading of the tissue cells in culture. So that is the attachment, adhesion. Aggregation is accumulation or clotting. Okay, adhesion is attachment. So it will vitronectin will help in the attachment. Okay, sticking nature of the platelets at the site of injury, and also the spreading of the blood vessel platelets. You can see that in the culture. You can test it in the culture. Seventh one is thrombospondin. So thrombospondin, it inhibits the angiogenesis. So what is angiogenesis? Angiogenesis is a process by which new blood vessels are formed. Okay, so this thrombospondin will prevent the angiogenesis, inhibit angiogenesis. So these are the different proteins, 7 proteins which are present in the inside the cytoplasm. What are they? They are contractile proteins like actin and myosin, thrombostenin, and the von Willebrand factor. The third one is the fibrin stabilizing factor. Fourth one is the PDGF, platelet derived growth factor. Fifth one is the platelet activating factor. Sixth one is the vitronectin or the serum spreading factor. Seventh one is the thrombospondin. So apart from this, it also has enzymes like ATPase and some other enzymes which are necessary for the synthesis of prostaglandins. It also has hormones like adrenaline, 5-HT, serotonin, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine, and histamine. So the hormones present inside the platelets are adrenaline, 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin, and histamine. Apart from this, it also has some chemical substances like glycogen and blood group antigen. Okay, blood group antigen is also present here, and inorganic substances like calcium, copper, magnesium, and iron are also present. Now, what are the granules? So, you have seen two types of granules inside the cytoplasm. So, what are the two types of granules? They are the alpha granules and the dense granules. So, the alpha granules, as you can see from the table, there are so many factors present in the alpha granules. What are they? They are the clotting factors, fibrinogen, clotting factor 5, and clotting factor 13. So, these three factors are present. Okay, clotting factors out of the 13, three important factors, fibrinogen, factor 5, and factor 13 are present in the alpha granules. Apart from that, it has got PDGF, platelet derived growth factor. So that is why we have seen through the canalicular system, all these granules will be extruded from the canalicular system to the site of injury, okay, to enhance the clotting mechanism. So these factors are present inside the granules. Okay, so that is why these granules are very, very important in the blood clotting mechanism. The third one is vascular endothelial growth factor. So vascular endothelial growth factor is very important in angiogenesis. Next is basic fibroblast growth factor, FGF. Endostatin. Okay, endostatin, thrombospondin. So endostatin prevents or inhibits angiogenesis. Okay, thrombospondin. So these are the factors present inside the alpha granules. Inside the dense granules, it contains nucleotides, serotonin, phospholipids, calcium, and lysosomes. So calcium is also one of the very, very important factor in blood clotting mechanism. Now, the increase or decrease the normal value of the platelets may not be the same. Okay, it can differ in different condition. It can be say differ in a normal physiological condition when a person is not suffering from any disease. Also, it can vary. So, you can see in infants, it is very, very. If 1,50,000 to 2 lakhs per cubic millimeter, whereas after the third month only it comes to normal level. Okay, so in the very young infants it is very, that number is very very huge. There is no difference in the platelet count between male and female, but again anyway in the during menstruation the thing, the number of blood platelets may decrease. Okay, high altitude, what happens? High altitude, because of hypoxia, all the things, no, the erythrocytes, leukocytes, and the platelet count also increases. After meal, now after immediately after taking meal also the platelet count increases. So there are three important properties of platelets. So what are the three important properties? You can call it as three A's. Okay, adhesiveness, aggregation, agglutination. So adhesiveness, you know, you adhesives, adhesive tape, you would have heard about. Adhesive is the sticking property of the platelets. Okay, adhesive property means sticking property of the blood platelets. So blood platelets have the adhesive property towards the collagen. So at the site of injury, when the collagen is exposed due to endothelial damage, they are attracted towards the site of injury, and they will go and stick onto the collagen. Okay, this is the adhesive property. Aggregation is collection. Okay, so when one platelet goes and sticks, okay, it will attract so many other platelets also to come to that site of injury. So it will attract, okay, and aggregate, make a form a clump like thing. Okay, third one is agglutination. It is like the precipitation. Okay, similar to precipitation, they will form a clump along with the other factors, and finally it forms the fibrin clot. So these are the three properties of the blood platelets. What are they? Adhesiveness, aggregation, and agglutination. Now we will see what are the functions and roles of the platelets. Okay, so normally, you know, when the platelets are not involved in blood clotting, they are in the inactive form. They are not always in the active form. So only whenever their action is necessary during blood clotting, or whenever there is a tissue injury, they will become activated, and you know, they will attain the shape of a spike. Okay, so these activated platelets, once they get activated, they release many, that is, they have, you have seen, no, so many contents are present in the cytoplasm. So they will be released outside, they should be released out, only then they can activate the blood clotting mechanism, they can initiate the blood clotting mechanism. So many enzymes, hormones, glycoproteins, lipids, everything is present in the inside the cytoplasm, inside the alpha granule, inside the dense granules. So they will all be extruded or thrown out through the tubular tunnel like canalicular system. Okay, so this is known as the platelet release reaction. Okay, so what is it called as? This is called as platelet release reaction. Okay, so the functions of the platelets are as follows. No, number one is in blood clotting. So they are very very much responsible for the activation of the prothrombin. Okay, that is the you know, in blood clotting mechanism there are two extrinsic role and the intrinsic role. Okay, extrinsic factor and the intrinsic factor. So the prothrombin activator, so is formed. Okay, so the prothrombin activator is a particular compound which has to be initiated, which will further activate the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. Okay, so the first role of platelet is the formation of intrinsic prothrombin activator along with other factors. So this substance is responsible for the blood clotting, starting of the blood, initiation of the blood clotting. So prothrombin activator has to be formed. So this you will understand when you study the blood clotting mechanism. Number two, role in clot retraction. So I told you, know, once the blood clot is formed and the site of injury is sealed, okay, the blood loss from the site of injury is stopped. But this clot should not be present for a long time. What will happen? It will get detached from the site of injury, and they can enter the bloodstream, and they will go and block the other sites. Okay, important tissues or organs. Okay, and it will prevent the blood flow to that particular tissue. So in order to avoid that, after the blood clotting has happened, the next immediate role is to disintegrate the clot. Okay, that is called as a retraction. So all the fluid inside the clot will be removed. Okay, fluid inside the clot will be removed and they will be disintegrated. Okay, so the not only the blood platelets, okay, the other cells, even the RBC and the WBC also will be held or entrapped in between the fibrin threads. Okay, not only the blood platelets. So as the blood platelets go and attach at the site of injury, along with this the RBC and the WBC also will be present and they get entangled in the fibrin threads, okay, fibrin network. So the cytoplasm of the platelet, no, that contains the contractile protein, what we have seen, actin, myosin, and thrombostenin. So they will be responsible for the clot retraction. So they are like the muscle protein. What they will do, they will help in the contraction and relaxation of the blood clot. So they will release all the liquid, okay, serum from the clot, release it to the bloodstream. So that will again enter the circulation, blood circulation. So remaining things which are caught in the fibrin network or the meshwork will be disintegrated and they will be thrown out. Okay, this is called as clot retraction. Number three is role in prevention of blood loss, hemostasis. So hemostasis is a very very important process. Hemostasis, stasis means stoppage. Okay, stoppage of the blood loss. Hemostasis means blood loss, stopping or prevention of blood loss. So the platelets will help in the hemostasis by three ways. How? Number one, platelets secrete this serotonin. Okay, 5-hydroxytryptamine. So this serotonin will cause the constriction of the blood vessel. So what do you mean by constriction and dilation? Constriction means the diameter of the blood vessel will be lessened. Dilation means the diameter of the blood vessel will be widened. So this serotonin will be released by the platelets, which will cause the constriction of the blood vessels. Okay, and because of the adhesive property of the blood platelets, the platelets, what do? They seal the damage in the blood vessel like capillaries. So small capillaries and the blood vessels. No, the platelets will come and aggregate and seal the opening. Next, it forms a temporary plug. Till the fibrins are formed, it forms a temporary plug. Okay, the platelets seal the damage in the blood vessel. So this is how they hemostasis is what, no? It is the three stages of hemostasis is number one blood clotting, number two clot retraction, and number three is the disintegration of the blood clot. So hemostasis is a mechanism by which the loss of blood from the body or from the site of injury is prevented. So the hemostasis should be studied in three steps or three stages. Number one is blood clotting, number two is clot retraction, and the three is the disintegration of the clot. Now, what is the fourth role of the platelets? Repair of ruptured blood vessel. Now, the blood vessel has been ruptured. There will be a scar there. Okay, there will be a scar. The clot will be retracted and it will be removed from the site of injury and they will be disintegrated. Now, what happens? That particular site of injury it has got an opening. So that has to be repaired. So it is a ruptured blood vessel. It has to be repaired. So for the repair of the ruptured blood vessel, this is very important. That is the platelet derived growth factor. Okay, growth factor. So this is present in the cytoplasm of the platelets. So it will do the repairing work. So the endothelium of the blood vessel will be repaired by the PDGF. Okay, and the structures of the blood vessel will be maintained perfectly so that the function can be carried out. The blood circulation function can be carried out. It will be immediately repaired, sealed, and new tissues will be formed. Next is a defense mechanism. So that is platelets because of the aggregation or agglutination property, they will completely seal the. You have seen in the video, YouTube video, no, they will seal the opening so that the entry of when you fall, what will happen when you fall or there will be infection. That will be a site of infection. So because of the automatically the wound will be healed so that it will prevent the entry of foreign microorganisms at the site of injury. Okay, so this is the role of defense mechanism. Okay, now you can see in this picture the inactive form of the blood platelet and the activated form of the blood platelet. So you can see filopodia. Filopodia, the finger-like projections are seen. This is the activated form of the blood platelet. Okay, now what are the activators? So platelet also needs some activators and inhibitors. So platelets are all not active all the time. See, it is present in the inactive form. So from the inactive form, it has to be converted to the active form. So for that, certain there should be something, okay, some factors which are necessary for activation, and some factors which should be necessary for inhibition. So the clotting cannot be carried out throughout. No, once the blood flow, blood loss is stopped, the clotting also should be stopped. The platelet also should be converted back to the inactive form. So these are the activating factors and the inhibiting factors. Number one, when the platelet will be activated, whenever there is an injury. Okay, whenever there is an injury, the endothelial lining of the blood vessel will be ruptured and the collagen will be exposed. Okay, so when the collagen is exposed, immediately the blood platelet will sense the damage and it will get activated. It will get converted into the active form and rush to the site of injury. Number two is the von Willebrand factor, what we have seen in the previous few slides. Okay, von Willebrand factor is another factor which will activate the platelets. Number three is thromboxane. So thromboxanes are formed from, synthesized from phospholipids. So thromboxanes are also very important activators of platelets. Number four is platelet activating factor, PAF. Okay, PAF is called as the platelet activating factor. Number five is thrombin. Okay, thrombin is another activator. ADP, calcium ions factor 4. Okay, and P selectin. P selectin is a cell adhesion molecule secreted from the endothelial cells. These are adhesion molecules. Okay, next, ninth one is the convulsin. Purified, that is from externally. There is a snake venom. So the activators of blood platelets are collagen damage, Wall Willebrand factor, thromboxane A2, platelet activating factor PAF, thrombin, ADP, calcium, P selectin, and convulsin. So those factors which are inhibiting the platelets are nitric oxide. So nitric oxide inhibits the platelet. Clotting factors 2, 9, 10, 11, and 12 also will inhibit the platelets. Prostacyclin and nucleotidase, which break down the ADP. So these are the inhibiting factors for platelets. Okay, so both will be active. Okay, once the platelets function is over, this has to be converted back to the inactive form. For that, these factors will play a very important role. Now, what happens? What are platelet disorders? So, what happens when there is an increase or decrease of blood platelets? Okay, so there are some physiological variations we have seen depending on the age, sex, and altitude. So, what are the pathological variations? So, what happens when and where there is a dysfunction of the platelet? Okay, so they are mainly classified into four types. Thrombocytopenia. Penia itself you can understand from the name, a decrease in the cell count, in the platelet count. Thrombocytosis, thrombocythemia, and Glanzmann's thrombasthenia. Okay, these are all conditions where there is an enormous increase in the blood platelets. So we will see them one by one. So thrombocytopenia, as I told you, is the decrease in the platelet count. So it will lead to, when there is a large amount of decrease in the platelet count. For example, in the dengue fever we have seen there is a large decrease in the platelet count. So it is very, very dangerous. Well, in which condition this will happen? It will happen during acute infection, sudden and acute infection, leukemia. Okay, leukemia, when there is an increase in the WBC count. Aplastic and pernicious anemia, we have seen about this condition, anemia, when we studied about types of anemia. Chicken pox, smallpox, splenomegaly, spleen, when the spleen becomes larger in size, scarlet fever, typhoid, tuberculosis, purpura, and Gaucher's disease. So during all these cases, the level of platelet count will become very much decreased. Now, thrombocytosis. Thrombocytosis is a condition. You should call it as a condition. Okay, condition because of some disease. You cannot call this itself as a disease. You should always call these increase and decrease in the different blood cells as a condition due to some other disease. So this itself is not a disease. It is a symptom. That is why whenever there is a disease, we go to the doctor. The first thing what they advise is to take a cell blood, total blood count, CBC, that is complete blood count. So by analyzing the complete blood count, that is, you just have to give a few drops of blood. They will put it on a smear on a glass plate, and they will see under the microscope. So they can identify, count the number of cells in the hemocytometer and tell you whether the cells are decreased in number or increased in number. Okay, the RBCs are decreased or increased, or the WBC, or the specifically eosinophil, basophil count, and neutrophil count, and also the platelets, whether they are increased or decreased, they can see. It is a very, very simple test. That is the first thing they will tell you. The blood cell count, complete blood count. Okay, so this is a condition. So this may would have been caused due to some other disease. So increased in platelet count is called as thrombocytosis. So this can be seen in conditions like allergy, asphyxia, respiratory disorder, hemorrhage, bone fracture, surgical operations, splenectomy, removal of the spleen, rheumatic fever, and trauma, sudden injury due to accident or something. Thrombocythemia is a condition where the increase in the number of platelet is persistent. It is present for a very long time, and there is an abnormal increase in the platelet count. So when do this happen? In the carcinoma, chronic leukemia, and Hodgkin's disease. All these are cancers. Okay, cancerous state. So this is about the um, blood platelets. Hope you understood.